races in the Olympic Games in Munich, Germany. And he had that inner dialogue, the negative thinking. He scratched his name out of the 7 races they went to Munich to compete in. Scratch. When you scratch, it means you're not competing anymore. So his coach was passing the Olympic swimming pool, and he looked up and he saw on the board, spit, scratch, 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 scratch. And he was horrified because they had trained for years to go to the Olympics to compete at this level. So we ran to look for him, and he found him in the Olympic Village with the rest of the American athletes. And he said, Mark, I just got the shock out of my life. So the coach said, Coach, what happened? I just got the shock out of my life. I noticed that you scratched out of the 7 races we came to Munich to compete in. What's wrong, Mark? Mark said, oh, Coach, let me tell you. There's no way I could win 7 medals. I don't know what got into my head to believe that I could have possibly win 7 medals to start off with. He said, I want to go home. So the coach said, fine, Mark, you can go home. No problem, you can go home. But I have one thing to say. He says, you know, I never had a son. And you like that son that I never had. And I'm so proud of you to grow up to represent your country at the Olympics. Such an honor. He said, but you could go home, Mark, but I have one question for you. And the question is, will the world ever know how great Mark Spitz could have been? Well, history would show that Mark Spitz re-entered his name and won 7 gold medals at the Games in Munich. The record stood for 30-something years, was just broken recently by Phelps. My question to you great people here on this great evening is, will the world ever know how great you could have been? Don't hide your talents. Give yourself some love. Welcome back to Dare to Be Great. This evening, my guest is Mr. Antonio Stubbs, Senior Vice President of the new BTC. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Spence. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you here. Tell us, where did you go to school?
Actually, I started off in technology. I went to Norfolk State University, my undergrad. And following that, I went to grad school at the Arthur D. Little School of Management, now the Hull School of Business,
yes,
Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And following that, I did a few executive development programs, Wharton and Darden.
Yes.
So that was good for education.
Good stuff, good stuff. Tell me, how has your education prepared you for your career that you're in now?
Well, I think education for me really was, it got me in the door. I think that is the way I viewed it. It was a part of my development, and it really prepared me for life. That is the way I look at education. It's almost like, unlike training, whereby, you know, training really prepares you for the job,
yes,
of a specific task.
Yes.
My education really helped me, got me into the company, got me into the door, and after that it was up to me to continue with my development, my personal development.
You do something that's, I find very interesting in some presentations called the best of the best.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that, the best of the best, because we're talking about Dare to Be Great.
I think the best of the best speaks from many aspects, from a service perspective, a leadership perspective, from a corporate perspective. And basically what you'll find is there's the small things, yes, that differentiates the best companies or the best people from the rest. You just mentioned Usain Bolt a few minutes ago.
Yes.
It's just the small seconds, the few minute things that separates these people. And what it is with the best is that these persons and these companies are about continuous improvement.
Yes.
They're always striving for a higher mark, a higher grade. It's like mediocrity is not a part of their business. It's not a part of the game plan.
Exactly.
So it's all of us about, we wanting to be better, we have to be better. Yesterday's results were not good enough for us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you had to live your life all over again, what one thing would you change if you had to do it all over again?
Nothing. I won't change a thing. I think everything in my life was a part of my development. My failures made me successful, was a part of my successes. And I think the thing about failures is you use your failures as a stepping stone.
Right.
And it's a part of growth.
Yes.
So looking back at my life today, there's nothing that I would change about my life. I would just, you know, live it all over again the same way.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is your greatest management skill? What would you say? You have quite a few, but what would you say is your greatest management skill?
I wish some of my people were here so you could ask them the same question. Maybe you'll get a different answer. But I think it's not about one skill specifically. I think to be a good manager, be a good leader, you have to be multi-skilled.
Yes.
I don't think there's one specific thing that you can focus on. You know, John Maxwell always talks about the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership.
Yes, yes.
Nobody is good at 21 of these, you know. So this is why, you know, there are a few things that leaders like myself probably would be good at, but it's about building leadership teams around you so that people will complement you in the areas where you are weak.
Yes.
And, you know, at the end of the day, when you look at the team, the whole team is strong.
Yes.
So I don't really look at myself and say I have a specific skill. There are certain things that I'm good at, but I try to build teams around me whereby people will complement me, and they will make it for my weaknesses. So that's the way I look at it.
Oh, man, good stuff, good stuff. Yes, good stuff, good stuff. Yeah, good stuff. You spoke about leadership and you spoke about Maxwell.
Right.
What would you say are some of the great, the characteristics of great leaders? What are some of the characteristics that you see in great leaders?
I think the key thing for a great leader is integrity.
Integrity.
I think it all starts there.
Yes.
You know, if your people can't trust you, first of all,
Right.
they won't follow you.
Yes.
So, you know, if people are not following you, then you're not a leader.
Exactly.
So I think in order to build the trust, people have to believe that you're the kind of person of your word. You know, whenever you say something, there's follow-up and you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think integrity is where we start. That's the greatest thing.
What is a company that you admire for its technological abilities and innovations?
That's a pretty big one. There are lots of companies. I think when you look at it in terms of the bigger gamut, a company like General Electric, that was led a few years back by Jack Welch.
He's legendary in terms of leadership.
Right. The company is the mammoth of a company.
Yes.
So many things that these guys do, from airplane engines to light bulbs, simple things, to refrigerators.
Yes.
And this company really impacts the general public in such a way that everywhere you look, there's a GE sticker. So General Electric for me right now, also not only that, technology, finance, they're a finance company. You know, so General Electric
Right.
for me right now is one of the biggest companies that stands out there as one of the mammoths in the industry, and the global industry as a major player.
Thank you, Mr. Stubbs, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us today on Dare to Be Great. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Spence. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Antonio Stubbs, Senior Vice President of the new BTC.